Hi everybody, this is sort of a random video. It's in response to Strawberry Puka 85. She asked me how I made my Hawkgirl mask, so I'm gonna kind of try to walk you guys through how I did that. It's not exactly a beginner project. I'm amazed I did it in the first try. It's something I've never done before, and you need either a very sturdy sewing machine or a lot of patience to do this. So this is the mask. This is for Black Lantern Hawkgirl. Normal Hawkgirl would be a bit different. I did this one in two pieces, so it's a hat and a mask. Normal Hawkgirl, I would probably do it entirely as a mask. I would probably bring this part down a bit to make the beak, and then make these parts come down lower to cover my eyes and just cut eye holes in them. The only reason I did this for Black Lantern Hawkgirl is because she has so many details on the face that I couldn't do it out of the fabric. So this ended up working better. So what I did for the hat is actually surprisingly straightforward, but you need to measure your head. Like, I've had a few friends try this on, and it won't go all the way down on their heads, and you have to leave room for putting your hair up if you have a lot of hair. It's really snug. I have to put my hair up like this in a wig cap so that it's as flat as I can possibly get it, or it's just quite uncomfortable. So what I did, I measured my head, and I figured out how far out I wanted the points to come. So I ended up with this pattern that I made, and this is the part that goes like that. I made a bit of a dart here, which you bring together. So you can't see it very well, but see that line there? It's actually sewn together in the hat, and that's what makes it come down rounded like that. If I didn't do that, it would stick out straight and really awkwardly. So I'll just lay this over the hat so you can kind of see how it works. So you kind of get the idea, I hope. Mine from point to point is 16 inches across. If you have a bigger head, you might have to make it bigger. I have a pretty small head. From this area to the nose, as I call it, I've got written down 9 inches, but that's actually until the dart, where the dart begins about here. So I would say, yeah, it is actually 9 inches from the top to the tip, and that's measuring from the widest point, like, between the 2 points. And then from the middle, the widest point to the back is 11 inches, so altogether it's 20 inches from here to the very back. My back part across, that just kind of sits around the back of my head, is also 9 inches. And I don't seem to have measurements for the back sides, only because I had to mess with that a lot and make them smaller. Because originally when I'd put it together, like, what I did, I actually taped the pattern together and put it on to see if it fit before I sewed it. So if you need to make something bigger, you can add paper. If you need to get rid of something, you can take away paper, and all it is just taping it together and cutting it with scissors when you're in need to take it apart. So that's ends up being that back line there that I don't have the measurement for. But really, it should, yeah. I might have to make a PSD of how I did this pattern. But yeah, if you basically end up with a shape like this, you're doing the right thing. We'll just say that. And how you want to do the angles is up to you. Obviously, mine sticks out quite far. Black Lantern Hawkgirl's does stick out farther. Normal Hawkgirl's seems to kind of flatten out this way a little more and be a little more subtle. Now this part, I unfortunately don't have a pattern for this right now, but it literally is just this shape. Like, and you see here is actually not sewn tip, like, on the edges. I just sewed that straight down, and that's how I got this to stick out the way it does. So there's actually a line of stitching right there. But yeah, this pattern is literally just this shape, and you just measure it according to those two lines. So from like all the way around that. This probably isn't much help because I can't literally hand you the pattern and say, here you go, but it is kind of a basic idea of how I do this. So it really is a simple shape. What I did, I made this part out of paper tons of times just to make sure I got it right so that this isn't too open and it covers my ears, so that when I put on the mask, oh yeah, the mask, I'll explain that to you too if you want to do it this way. I don't know if you were doing Black Lantern or normal Hawkgirl, but if you do want to do it with a mask, it's just, I bought a base mask from Michael's. You can get it from any craft store probably. And then I built up, on the front, I built up the beak with craft foam, that really thin, foamy stuff that you make crafts out when you're a kid. So this is craft foam here, and on the sides. Then around the eyes and this weird cheekbone thing is paper clay, which I made the shapes out of, let them dry, and then I had to glue them to the mask because paper clay doesn't really stick on its own. And then I went over the whole thing with paper mache, and then I spray painted it. This is also just craft foam. I didn't really even paint the back of it. And then I added these little bits inside just for ventilation's sake, and so I could put the lenses in. One thing I would not recommend when doing a mask is actually using lenses. If you can get a hold of speaker cloth, most fabric stores should have it. It literally is the cloth that is on the front of speakers. Like if you have any of those big stereo speakers or anything, and there's the cloth on the front, that's what it is. You can usually get it in black, white, and like a beige color. And you can see right through it, and it won't fog up your mask. My issue with the lenses is I literally can't see after wearing this for about 15 minutes because it fogs up so bad. So I'll be changing those out. Also, if you're doing normal Hawkgirl, her eye holes are white, so you can use white speaker cloth. So that saves you a whole lot of trouble. But yeah, when you put this on, ideally what you want is for the mask, this looks really funny, to cover the hat to cover all the edges of the mask. So I've made it so I can push it completely in there. And this just sits on top. So I can lift this off if I need to, or I can take the mask off or push it up. So it is really good for if I need to ventilate a little bit. But this covers all the edges of the mask, and I think I actually ended up making these bigger when I started it so that I could accommodate for the mask, and then I cut it after I had the mask built so that I knew it would fit. And then the weird feathery doohickeys are just craft foam glued on. I took the pattern that I used for the sides of the hat and I traced it out again and split it into sections to make a pattern for this. So that's how I got that. This is also just craft foam glued on and then varnished. And the whole thing is spray painted with, it's like a floral spray paint. You can get it at craft stores. I got mine from Michael's. Make sure you get a primer. The primer is gray. You can actually see a bit of the primer in the mask there. Make sure you prime. You might have to do 2 coats because the fabric, it is fabric. It just soaks up the paint. So make sure you prime the crap out of it. And then you can spray paint it over with, for normal Hawkgirl, you would use gold. For this one, it's copper. I don't know if I explained what this is actually made out of, so I'll go over that really quick. It's called FlexiFirm. It's also called Pellon. The brand that we sell at my work, because I work at Fabricland, they call it FlexiFirm. And it's basically heavy felt, but heavy felt is about 3 times as thick as that. Like, you can see how thin this is, but it's got really good weight to it, and it sews really well. I wouldn't recommend sewing it if you're not good at sewing, only because, well, not so much if you're not good at sewing, but if you don't know your sewing machine very well, only because you do end up literally sewing it in this shape by the end, and you really run the risk of breaking your needles, and that can be really dangerous because your needle can fly off and hit you in the face. I don't mean to scare you, but you may want to wear goggles. You can just wear this while you're sewing. I did 2 lines of stitching. I actually sewed it together once, and then I went over the whole entire thing again, just so it's nice and sturdy, and I know it won't just split apart on me. But yeah, you have to be really careful and know your sewing machine and know how much tension you're putting on it, because if you break your needle, that's not really fun. Make sure you have extra needles too if you are going to do this. You could probably also staple this and then paint over the staples, now that I think about it. I am going to give you a link to a girl on cosplay.com in the information bar down here, who made the normal Hawkgirl mask out of this stuff. FlexiFirm was not my original idea. It actually comes from this girl. She did use heavy felt, but I kind of went for the medium FlexiFirm because it's much lighter, much easier to sew through, and I think it has an overall better effect on the seams. You don't end up with like super thick seams because this is sewn on the outside, like it's sandwiched together, and these are the raw edges on the outside. The only place where the raw edge is on the inside is the dart, because that's what makes it curve in. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a daunting project. I hope I didn't disappoint you by making this sound really, really hard. It's not. It's just a lot of measuring and a lot of math and a lot of trial and error. What I would suggest is just keep making your pieces out of paper until it fits you, and then cut your fabric out. Do not cut your fabric until your paper hat fits you. Because you can go through paper and recycle paper so much quicker and easier than fabric, and paper's a lot cheaper. So stick with the paper first. I hope this helps. I hope you can figure out how you want to do this. If you have any other questions, let me know and I can try to answer them. I'm really, really bad at kind of explaining how to do this because it's something that I should be showing you step by step, but I can't because I don't have enough fabric to make another one. Maybe I'll post a tutorial when I do a normal Hawkgirl mask, because I do plan on doing White Lantern Hawkgirl, so when I do that I'll post another tutorial, but I know you need this done quickly, so I hope you understand this and I hope it helps. Again, I'll just show you the side. So you need a pattern that looks literally like that, and then your whole entire top is this guy, and you're going to pinch that together to make a dart so it folds, and then it literally is just that with the 2 side pieces sewn to it, and the side pieces are also what make it do this. You might have to push it in a bit just there, but because of the way this is curved here, it'll give you this cool like pointy horn thing. So yeah, good luck. I hope it helped. I will link you in the information bar to the other girl's helmet, and good luck with your costume, and I hope it turns out good. Bye!